Welcome to Quantumly Kinky with Veda, where we talk about sex, Chinese medicine, and character development for the multidimensional you. Episode 2, Cosmic Kink, Letting the Universe Be Your Domme. Welcome back to Quantumly Kinky. I am your host, Sarah Veda. And every Wednesday, I'm going to be releasing a new episode. I want this space to feel like a sexy church, a place that you can come every week, a sanctuary for expansion, connection, and alignment with your most turned on multidimensional self. So with that, each episode will carry a message designed to inspire and awaken something powerful within you. But this isn't just a one-way street. Your participation is key. So take these ideas, explore them in your own life, and hopefully share your experience. This is an invitation to ultimately take what resonates with you, leave the rest, but embody it and let it pulse through your life like a delicious orgasm. And for those who crave more intimacy and connection, join me on my Instagram at Quantumly Kinky, where the conversation continues and our community grows. So let's dive into this week's message and let it seduce us into something greater. So for this week, I want to talk about an idea of being in service to something bigger than self. Being in service to what some might call the higher self, the holy guardian angel, the source self, God, whatever that word is for you. Just picture that powerful representation of something more powerful than just your human existence. So this concept has ancient roots in esoteric traditions, really. And while it may not sound very applicable to your daily waking life, I will remind you to the contrary, because it is one of the most profound ideas, one of the most life-changing ways to get in alignment with that turned-on existence. It can be profoundly grounding, it's transformational, and I've experienced personally that it can lead you to way more synchronistic, orgasmic, turned-on living. So let's get into it. This is a comparison that might surprise you, but probably not if you know me well. I ultimately like to think of this relationship as having some deep parallels to BDSM, bondage, discipline, sadism, masochism. More on the many parallels to this central kink theme later, but for now, ultimately we're looking at the relationship between surrendering to a higher self as a little BDSM play. So when we're truly in service to this inner higher source, sun, galactic, multidimensional power, it's a bit like entering into a consensual BDSM power exchange with source. In BDSM relationships, when they're entered into mindfully, ethically, they're built on trust, surrender, and a conscious choice really to serve something bigger than oneself. Oftentimes that's, of course, directed towards the play between people, but we're playing with this in a bigger way, right? So in this case, that something bigger is ultimately the divine, the higher will for self, the holy guardian angel. However, again, you resonate with that guiding force. For me, I'm going to call that source sun self or multidimensional self. That represents the greater power that lives within me that I want to surrender to. So at the heart of this dynamic, it really is about that profound surrender. This is not a loss of power, but rather a conscious, empowered choice to let go and allow this source self to guide. So in BDSM, ultimately surrendering can open up channels to these powerful experiences that help us let go of our egos, let go of our control, our insecurities, recalibrate, rewire ourselves through this surrender. In a similar way, surrendering to this multidimensional higher self really invites a radical opening, an invitation to become a vessel for something beyond our limited human perceptions. And this type of spiritual submission, it requires some deep fucking trust, self-knowledge, and a willingness to grow. All of which are, of course, qualities nurtured in sacred service being a fundamental root for living your turned on life. So how does this work in your everyday human life? How can you apply this going to work, watching your children, taking classes, whatever it is that you're waking up and doing every day? This is not about giving up your autonomy or blindly following. That's not a turn on, right? That's not our mission here. But rather, it is about listening, attuning, and ultimately allowing this powerful source energy to flow through us. It's the practice of getting present. In fact, let's actually stop and take a deep breath together. Because that is literally all it takes to get present. Just take a long, deep, slow breath. One more time with me. In that deep breath, you can check in with that higher voice and allow it to command you, even when it's uncomfortable or might ask you to challenge your boundaries, let go of your ego. But remember that multidimensional source self is your master in your consensual BDSM dynamic. It's a partnership based on trust and mutual respect, where we let our egos take a backseat so we can serve something bigger, deeper, and ultimately way more fucking fulfilling than what our human can even fathom up. So this concept is challenging, probably not in theory, right? But it does take a commitment in application. 100% takes a commitment in the application of this. So just like in a conscious BDSM relationship, entering into a service-oriented relationship with your higher self requires courage, authenticity, and a willingness to face yourself presently, exactly as you are right now. When we activate our most authentic, powerful, and vulnerable self, we invite a deeper, more intimate relationship with our reality, with our life. And you guessed it, we get more turned on by this. So let's take another deep breath, you beautiful creature, and reflect on what it might look like to take a step into a quantumly kinky, spiritual BDSM dynamic with your higher self. So for those of you that are inspired to do this with me, I have a key for us to explore. Something I have been practicing for over a decade and notice a massive difference in my daily life when I do prioritize this and when I don't prioritize this simple and incredibly effective practice. So here it goes. In order to engage in order to activate this surrender, letting the universe be your Domme energy, I want us every day in the mirror, preferably in the morning, to take a deep breath and ask my two main questions. Question number 1, how may I serve? Question number 2, what is your will for me? When you ask these two questions in a state of present reverence, you activate this dynamic. You allow your human self to set its course to expand with the most powerful timeline possible. This is because being in service to this planet really represents alignment with your true mission. Your mission is to experience as much as possible and do that while you're in service to yourself and others. So asking these two questions is activating this dynamic because it's showing this part of you, your willingness to surrender. You're saying, how may I serve? Ultimately, how may I serve my expanded vision? How may I serve this higher source Domme self? And then you're saying, what is your will for me? That, in my mind, is giving us the ideas for how to do this specifically. When you say, what is your will for me? It's saying, show me the steps, show me the way, who I need to talk to today, where I need to go. And it allows us to get deeper into that surrendered space that feels so fucking good. So let's do this together. Let's explore this for the next 7 days, every morning. Let's ask our two questions. Let's let the universe be our fucking Domme, baby. Let's be the best sub in the world. Let's practice this art of present surrender and see what happens. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Quantumly Kinky with Veda. Stay turned on. Till next time.